and welcome to the first episode of Prodigal Sons. My name is Jared, and with me is...
Ryan, and you're so lively there, Jared.
Oh, I am very lively.
And I will be the third half of this exciting intro. I'm Ian.
You're the third half?
Yes.
Okay.
Math is hard.
Or 1/3. And basically, the goal of this podcast is the three of us are going to be discussing pop culture stuff, comics, movies, TV, you name it, anything if it's geeky and nerdy, and if you talk about it with a girl, it won't get you laid. That's what the three of us are going to talk about. Right, gentlemen?
Some chicks do that.
Fantastic.
That is true. Nowadays, it's a little more popular to be into this stuff. You know, when I'm too old to actually capitalize on any of it.
And I'm married, so you know.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Also true.
And the brief intro that I'm going to give to you about us and why we're all together and why we're called Prodigal Sons is 16 years ago, gentlemen? 17?
16. 7. Yeah. Somewhere around there.
All right. We'll say 16.
Sure.
16 years ago, the three of us actually did a legit morning show together on an alt-rock station.
Watts.
50,000 watts in the middle of Pennsylvania. We had an amazing 7-month run. Lots of stories. Lots of crazy shit happened to us. We have reunited again 16 years later to talk about pop culture bullshit.
Just like we did 17 years ago.
Yeah, when the mic was off.
Yeah.
If I can give you a brief story, just a brief story of how I knew I would stay friends with these guys, at least with one of you. I mean, Brian, you know, you're a different thing, but Ian, we used to run I'm going to make this really quick. We used to run a trivia contest sometimes on the show where it was Stump the DJs or some bullshit like that. And people were just able to call and ask us any questions within the realm of something, you know, whether it be Star Wars or, you know, some movie or something like that. And I believe we did Star Wars one time. And this kid calls up. And I had always considered myself a pretty big Star Wars fan. I knew a lot about Star Wars. Clearly, not as much as Ian. And the guy calls and he says, "What does TIE stand for in TIE Fighter?" And I looked over at my partner and I was like, I don't have a fucking clue what's going on. And I think Ian had only been there for a couple of days and he's sitting in the corner and I see him kind of just whisper over, "Twin ion engine." Right? And I was like, that's it. I like this guy. He's all right with me.
I had no idea that was like the turning point. That's fantastic.
Yeah, up until that point, I just thought you were kind of like a creepy dude.
That's fine. That's reasonable. Because I felt similarly about Brian because we had done those trivia things, and he and I were both present for the Stump Us at Simpsons trivia. Oh man, we took on people for like 5 commercial breaks. They had nothing, and it was ridiculous. And I thought at that moment, man, if I ever find myself in the cash cab, I hope to God I'm visiting New York City with my friend Brian Etzel, because we will walk away with a really small sum of money.
Let's get to the crux of the podcast, sir. Let's
get to the meat of it. What are we going to be talking about this week on episode 1? Is what you're getting at, right?
Yes, and I believe this week we're going to be talking about Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is that correct, sir?
That is right. It came out about 6 days ago, so we're probably a little late on that, but we're not actually doing a review. So we'll do a review / discussion. So there'll be major spoilers. Be warned. Turn it off now if you haven't seen it yet. As to why you would be listening to this and hadn't seen it yet, I do not. That would be fucking retarded.
But spoilers is fair alert. I will have lots of, varying from airtight to far-fetched fan theories, I'm sure. Because
and let's put it out on Front Street right now. There's going to be spoilers in everyone, so just be prepared.
I was going to say, we're going to be talking about Avengers 2 with it and Iron Man 3, and probably a bunch of the other Marvel Universe movies.
Yeah,
sure,
if you haven't seen Avengers by now, well, you're one of 5 people apparently, since it's the number 3 top grossing movie in the world. All right, Marvel's Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Gentlemen, what did you think?
I thought it was solid. I thought it had a good story. I was genuinely shocked with the fact that they immediately tied it in with the movie and the current timeline. I thought it was reasonably well acted. I like Joss Whedon, and it looks like Disney has plenty of money to throw at this thing.
Brian, your initial thoughts?
I also liked it. I was quite pleased, first of all, with the way it looks. It doesn't look like a cheesy TV show. The acting is okay. the dialogue is very, especially for this first episode, was very Joss Whedon-esque.
It had Joss all over it.
Snappy. Some good one-liners, even cheesy, half funny.
Sure.
The continuity of everything from Avengers to Iron Man 3 right into this. There's a lot of setup going on for the rest of the season. There was a lot of good stuff in the show, and I'll definitely it made me want to tune back in.
All right.
How about you?
And you?
I didn't hate it. I'll tell you that much. I didn't really love it though.
Yeah, but you're needy. So tell us more.
No. Well, first of all, I can tell you right off the bat, I need to stop watching trailers for everything. For everything.
Oh yeah, they ruin everything.
Yeah, thank God that all the stuff in the trailer was only from the first episode. So maybe tomorrow, when the second episode comes out, I'll be a little bit better. But I mean, I knew every beat that was coming up, every cool little beat, like Coulson coming out and being like, "Welcome to Level 7." I saw it in the trailer, so it didn't have that impact for me. So that's on me. That's not on them. If I could wipe my memory of the trailer, all those little beats would have been cool. But the thing I just couldn't fucking shake when I was watching the whole time is that it was a TV show, and I think I needed to get get more into that mindset, after seeing all the movies, Iron Man 3 and Avengers and stuff like that. Like, it was a real kind of shock, to get in there and be like, oh, it's a TV show. It's you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, in the movies, they're doing broad strokes to get you through the story, and now on a TV show, they have to fill time, and they know that they have a long road to haul. So you get the minor characters, you get the minor story that builds up to the larger storyline.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, I understand that.
Are you talking about like expectation management? Like you were expecting the quality of a feature film packed into this TV show?
Well, I knew that wasn't going to happen. I understand it's a TV budget. It just felt very TV to me. And I think it just seemed more glaring to me because of the movies. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just something, again, that I needed to get adjusted to.
I don't know. I thought the production value was pretty decent.
I'm not saying the production value was bad.
Okay. All right. I'm just not catching what you're putting down.
We are not picking up what you're putting down.
Right.
It just, I don't know. Like you watch Avengers, you watch Iron Man, these very big and music and stuff like that, and this is on a scaled down level, but in that universe I'm so used to everything being so big that it was a hard transition to get to you know what I'm saying?
Oh, see, I felt that it was there. The whoever does the score for this show, every fight scene was so big and over the top as far as the music was concerned, and it was not worth that amount of music.
And
some of those fight scenes didn't last very long.
No.
And you're talking about the movies being bombastic, Jared. Now, the whole point of a movie is to show you an extraordinary day in the life of somebody, and that's why they're focusing that movie on that time. But TV shows just don't do that. They have the minutia and they have the story. So yeah, you're so used to those movies being these huge spectacles, but that's just not how the television show's going.
Oh, I know. No,
there'll be during sweeps, and there'll be every like 5 episodes you'll have some kind of big.
Yeah, you're not following me. I'm not faulting the show for that. I'm saying, it was me trying to get adjusted to that.
Well, fucking man up.
All right. Jesus Christ. You take it so personally. I think you worked on the fucking show.
You places, Jared.
You've watched TV before, right? You know what a TV show is? You know they show shows on television?
Okay, if I can explain it this way, right? It's almost the same thing if a TV show goes to a movie, and you watch the movie, and you're like, God, this doesn't feel like the fucking show. Like when the first Next Generation movie came out, and I was like, oh, everything's different. The lighting's different. I don't like it. It's different. I don't fucking like it.
And it's shitty.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's a bad example because, I mean, the show, S.H.I.E.L.D, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, was a very good show. It wasn't the greatest show I ever saw, but it was okay. It had potential.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of potential.
I set my expectations at the right level for it. You apparently were way off.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot. I wanted fucking Captain America and Thor to walk through the fucking door. And they didn't.
I was happy to see that obviously Coulson is
right.
Obviously the main character in the show. But Hill, Agent Hill,
yeah.
Right? I was glad to see Colby Smulders was there for at least a little while.
Yes.
And I feel that they'll be trying to parade some other people through, but I don't exactly know who they could get to do that.
I agree. I don't
I
know.
was kind of hoping that they would throw a little of that Disney money at Samuel L. Jackson, but I'll take
Oh, yeah, I think they all demand a lot of Disney money, though.
Yeah, I understand that, but could you imagine how cool that would have been? I mean, just have him in there for 1 minute
I
talking to
Right.
Coulson.
I hope that
So I'm
they have him
hoping-
in there somewhere.
Right. I'm hoping that they use this as a vehicle to get some screen time to characters that simply will not have a franchise.
I kind of hope it's not like a Monster of the Week type show where every week they run into somebody with new powers and it's really just a made up person we don't know. Because when I had watched the trailer, I was like, oh, that guy jumping out of the building? That's got to be fucking Luke Cage.
I thought so too.
And I was like, oh, it's not Luke Cage. It's nobody Luke Cage. It's nobody Cage.
It will be a fair mix of both if watching a Joss Whedon program has taught me anything. There will be, difficulties of the week with no-name characters that will, be interwoven with the underlying show. I assume not Luke Cage and Scientist was just there to be, I don't know, are they supposed to be Hydra?
They didn't really
know.
imply what that is.
No, I have no idea.
Whoever is behind the Centipede program, I assumed was Hydra.
What are
That's
you
I'm
basing
not
that
I was
on?
going to say that's a pretty big leap. Why are you basing it on that?
Yeah, what evidence do you have to that?
They like evil science. And they're S.H.I.E.L.'s arch nemesis.
Nemesis?
Nemesis?
Yeah, well, they're Nemesi. That group is the anti-S.H.I.E.L.D.
I mean, it's not a bad guess. I was just wondering where you were pulling it from. That's all.
That's it. Just out of they like to use chemicals to make counter super people to counter S.H.I.E.L.'s helpfulness. They're a natural. They seem like a natural fit for the show because it's such an expansive organization, and there's those characters in Hydra will never be franchised villains. So if Baron Strucker wants to come out, he can. And, you can afford to do him on a TV budget.
See, but I think if that were the case, why not at the end of the show, give us a little peek of what's going on there, of the head guy behind this organization or something like that. Just a little teaser.
Yeah, it's because what Brian said, they've got a long road to get there. They don't know,
Yeah, you don't want to actually I don't think you want to give that part away in the
Right.
first episode. They had enough crap going on in that first episode. I mean,
Well, they didn't really give a lot of time to that other group, though. I mean, they showed up, tried to shoot the guy with a shotgun, and then hit the road.
because they're still trying to establish S.H.I.E.L.D. They don't need to establish the villain yet. We need to know that S.H.I.E.L.D. is there to protect us from everything. It doesn't need to be necessarily this villain. It's from everybody.
I don't know.
True.
Me personally, I would have liked a little more, like a little thing at the end. Give me a little Thanos looking into the camera type deal where I'm like, oh shit, something big gonna happen down the road.
Do you want a stinger after every episode?
Damn right I do. Marvel, they set the stage. Let's go.
Let's get a stinger after every episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I want to see superhero memorabilia all over the fucking place every episode.
So there were some things about items that were said during the show that I was kind of that I was interested in, because originally I was trying to figure out if the timeline of this show was actually before Iron Man 3 or after it.
Well, it has to take place after.
Right. Well, and the only reason it needs to take place after it is because Coulson knew what Extremis was.
Right.
Right. So as we kind of discussed right before the show started, both Jared and I have seen Iron Man 3. Ian has not. So
I hope to someday.
I know. But so Ian, the Extremis,
Yes. Yes, the Chitauri Extremis exoskeleton situation that was in that guy's fireplace.
Well, that the centipede, the stuff that actually is in them, it's a chemical compound, right, Jared? Am I correct in that?
Okay.
The way they explained it on the show is that there was a chemical compound in the centipede that was like a concoction of all the little things that'll make you a superhero. Gamma radiation, Cap's super serum was in there, or they said it was relatively close to it.
Right, the Extremis was something different.
No, I thought Extremis
was
was
referenced-
the...
Oh, you're saying that Extremis is that concoction.
Right, that's what Extremis is.
Oh,
I
thought it was that thing that was referenced at the very beginning of the show that they pulled from that, billionaire's fireplace, and he slid it over to Maria Hill and said, Chitauri.
It was a Chitauri
Extremis.
mind link. No, that was a Chitauri mind link.
Right, you're right.
That was a reference to Avengers.
Yeah,
Yes.
Extremis actually has nothing to do with Avengers.
Okay. Extremis is the juice that gives people superpowers.
Right,
Well,
and
That
the
makes them
centipede.
explode.
What we're meant to believe from this show is that centipede was a filter that kind of filtered blood and extremis together in doses that were supposed to make it more tolerable for humans. Because in Iron Man 3, the extremis stuff basically made people explode like fucking wildfire, like all over the place. People explode.
Okay.
But you see, that's not what I gathered from it. I gathered that the concoction that they put in there was all these things mixed together, and Extremis just happened to be one of the things in there as well.
Oh,
They did make a mention of, every bit that had made everybody who we saw in the Avengers powerful, or they talked about the super serum, they talked about gamma radiation,
right.
and they talked about mixing it up into one.
There's a strand of Thor's hair in that serum.
Well, see, they also talked about alien technology, and I just thought that was the alien technology was the actual centipede itself, and I thought that other shit was just everything that was in Extremis.
That's what I thought. I felt that, well, I didn't feel that was Extremis that was in the thing, that was part of it, but that the alien tech was the delivery system for the serum.
Gotcha.
That sounds plausible.
So spoilers, Ian,
Yes.
for Iron Man 3.
Oh, fire away.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that the Extremis stuff is from...
People explode. That's fine.
Right. The other thing I noticed, or I heard them over... they're talking about the fact that this guy, this Michael, whatever his name, the guy who is jumping around with the powers from the centipede, Coulson mentions that he's an unregistered gifted.
Right.
Yes.
So
suggesting that there is a registry system out there.
Exactly. They're now getting into the Registration Act in the show, which they never spoke about in any of the movies. Am I correct?
Here's what
Yes.
I'm thinking. As far as the registration thing, because I did pick up on that too. I was like, ooh, you know what? That would be a cool Avengers 3, a Civil War
Yes.
type thing.
Oh, okay, sure.
That's what I was picking up from it, was that they're trying to introduce the whole Civil War storyline. Of course, they don't have Spider-Man to do it with, but for fucking Spider-Man had his mask off every 5 seconds in the most recent movie, didn't he? Not that that's part of this universe, but I'm just saying, like, the whole part about the registration was about being masked and then coming out and showing who you were, right?
Yeah, I mean, but they could get around that. I mean, it'll be a version of that type of story. I mean, basically, it'll just be a vehicle for like, oh, cool, we can get Cap and Iron Man to beat the crap out of each other.
Sure.
Which is, and those to me were the best parts of the Avengers anyway. I loved watching Thor and Hulk fight each other.
Right.
Yeah. And then,
So-
but that means then we're going to have to see a lot more heroes come along.
Well, if you think about
Absolutely.
it, for Avengers 2, they're introducing at least Scarlet Witch, maybe Quicksilver. And then you also need to consider how many characters will be added through the course of this show.
Sure.
And then these characters could, like, theoretically, keep in mind, Avengers 3 is what? We're not looking until 2017, 2018 at the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was in the works yet or green lighted at all.
Please, they'll be making Avengers movies for as long as they can.
That's fine. And see, are we ever going to revisit this Thanos that we saw at the end of Avengers?
Yeah, he's going to be part of...
He's going to be part of the Ultron situation?
No.
No.
No?
They're
Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah, they're most likely
Okay.
going to use it for Guardians.
Okay. And then, because that's another, half dozen characters that'll get introduced in that movie.
Yeah, but
At
they
least.
won't fall into that superhero registration act, since that's more of like a space type thing.
Yeah,
Right.
it's supposed to be Earth's heroes that people are vigilantes. The space people, they're like, we don't give an F.
Right.
So if you think about it, like with all the super characters that will get eventually brought up in S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'm sure they're hoping will go on for at least 5 years, these characters could be either referenced or brought in for cameos in another Avengers movie. I'm sure a TV actor would be like, oh, you can pay me movie money for a day's worth of work? No problem.
Right. And they show up and Hulk just turns them into an ink spot on the ground. Done.
Yeah, and actually, what would be really cool is if they really get into the registration act in the show, right? And then have that culminate at the end of the season for the, when it ends in May, and be like, oh my God, and have an Avengers 3 tie into that.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm assuming that's going to be an overarching piece of this show, is that Registration Act crap.
But is that too much to ask of the audience? You know what I'm saying?
Why?
to know what happened. And what if you don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you just want to go see an Avengers movie? You know, Hollywood, they're
Right.
like, oh, they're not going to know what this means, and they get very confused.
They'll put
I mean, I would love that, but
they'll put a 3-minute info dump in the front of Avengers 3 like they did with Green Lantern.
there you go, problem solved.
People love Green Lantern, right? Ooh.
Please, you want to make we got to make a whole podcast of that.
No, that's episode 2. No, that's
And how it killed my heart.
is
My heart's a
terrible.
little blacker now because of that movie.
Anyway, so I feel that since that was such a throwaway line, I really feel like they're going to build off that for the series. I don't think it was just like a one-off thing that they just happened to put in there. I think Whedon was purposely, when he pitched this, was probably like, oh, we're going to do something, because S.H.I.E.L.D. needs to do S.H.I.E.L.D.y crap, and that's a
Right.
big S.H.I.E.L.D.y piece, is like
Well, yeah,
regulating the superheroes.
and to be quite honest with you, like I was a little kind of like lost in the show, and even towards the end, I was like, well, what exactly is their mission? What are they supposed to be doing? Just rounding up heroes? Is that what they're supposed to be doing?
I think that's part of it, because I think he said, like, we want to bring him in just to get a hold of him, right? Because they're like, oh, the next person will want to exploit him, and then the other person will want to dissect him.
Is that the whole point of their little group? Is that they're just going to be going around rounding up heroes?
It appears so. Yes.
I think partially. I think that'll partially be it.
Well, I'm not saying like I mean, obviously the show can do different things, but I'm saying like in that universe, that group was formed for this specific reason. Like they were a little kind of hazy on that. They was like, well, we have a chance to do some good. I was like, well, what exactly are you fucking doing?
Right. I think they're trying to be vague, for the purpose that, S.H.I.E.L.D. is, generally a covert operation. But I think you're right. I think that we are supposed to believe that Coulson's mobile ops unit, their job is to rescue rookie heroes.
So,
Yeah.
while we're on Coulson,
Yes.
that's also obviously going to be another giant plot point, at least for this season, about
Sure.
how he came back.
They made that so heavy-handed, like there you go.
They really did.
Yes.
So sad.
Tahiti.
I think at one point they were actually got out a piece of paper and were like spelling it out for us. I saw him writing something on a piece of paper.
So they also mentioned, I know I'm going all over the place. So the what's her name? The broad in the van, Rising Tide.
Sky,
Sky, yeah. So of course,
the hottest hacker known to man.
no, not hotter than Angelina Jolie and Hackers.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, you just totally lose my train of thought. Damn it.
But Brian's like boobs and computers.
Angelina Jolie. Centipede. So she's the one who brings up Centipede. She also
Yes.
brings up Project Pegasus. Now, was that supposed to be Thor, or was that something completely different?
I was wrecked because she mentioned something else too in there too. What did she mention?
I can't remember the third one. I was taking notes, and I just have Centipede and Project Pegasus down. I think the other thing was something we knew about. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, something that we already knew about. And Project Pegasus, I swear, I thought I knew what that was.
I felt that had something to do with Thor for some reason. Like that was supposed to be like a call sign or a call name for when they found his hammer.
When they
And-
found Mjolnir down in Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah. Albuquerque?
All right,
That
Arizona?
sounds-
ready? I'm on Wikipedia right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's vamp. So-
Okay. Project Pegasus, created in Marvel 2-in-1, 1978. Pegasus was originally intended to research alternative and unusual forms of energy, but has also been as a prison for superpowered individuals. Trying to figure out how it ties into anything that we know about. But
So was that the Tesseract? Was Project Pegasus
that's what I'm thinking.
in
Project
Avengers?
Okay.
Pegasus, maybe Project Pegasus was the place that blew up in the Avengers.
That's what I was saying, where the Tesseract was.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to harness the power of the Tesseract, and they were also saying
Yes.
it was not only for weapons use, but also for like energy. So maybe that's what Project Pegasus was. Maybe that's what she's referring to. I wasn't sure. I picked it up. There were so many little references and little things in the show that I kept trying to. I watched it twice, and I'm sure I missed some stuff.
Oh, I love the nod to Spider-Man. Did you catch that one?
No.
You
When
didn't
she
get that
was-
one?
When she was quoting Uncle Ben and then changed it at the end.
Yeah.
With
Oh,
great
that?
power comes.
Lots of
Yeah.
weird stuff? Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you meant like an actual reference to Spider-Man, not some.
You didn't see him swinging by?
I thought maybe because there was a lot of footage going on in some of the shots. Like in S.H.I.E.L.D, there was I think it was Iron Man supposed to be flying by, and I thought maybe they had footage of like Spider-Man, but they probably can't use it.
No, they can't.
They cannot even use his visage.
Oh my God, there was a big back in when they were doing the Avengers. They wanted to do a quick shot of the Oscorp building in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and that got shot down by Sony. He's like, "Fuck you, that's ours."
Thanks, Sony.
Yeah.
Bastards.
There was that great power with great power thing with the Spider-Man
Right.
one. There was another one where they said I don't know if you caught this one where they referenced Journey into Mystery.
Oh, where they're
Yes.
talking about
Fitz
yeah,
and
their
Simmons
journey
were
into
talking.
mystery?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the comic that Thor appeared in first. Was Journey into Mystery. I don't know what number it was.
Oh, I had no idea. Good catch.
The car Lola.
Yes.
Oh, the Stark hover car.
Yeah, if I was like, if that car doesn't fucking float by the end of this show, I'd be fucking pissed. So that was a good nod.
Right. And then before we move too far away from your original point, I assume, because even though it was apparently spelled out for me, that Coulson's a robot.
I don't think Coulson's a robot.
Well, they didn't imply that he was a robot. They just implied that that's clearly not Coulson or something happened to him.
I thought he was clearly a robot.
I'm going for LMD.
That's
He's
what I thought
definitely
too.
a life model decoy.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the one that was killed was also not Coulson? Are there dozens of Coulsons?
I would say that the one that got killed was the original Coulson. And this one
Okay.
might be the LMD.
All right, because I know there's like 15 Fury life model decoys.
Well, don't get the comics confused with the movies.
Right, but
We don't know anything at this point.
No, but it could always be overlapping. And I also wasn't sure if they were just going to go with the LMD or if they were going to use Coulson as the base for someday he was going to become the Vision.
I had heard that thrown around too, but obviously, I mean, that could happen, I guess. But I think you're going to see more Vision stuff if you think about it with the Avengers 2, with Ultron, because I don't know if you know, but in the comics, Ultron created the Vision.
True.
And you have the Scarlet Witch in there. You got a lot of potential for some Vision. So I seriously doubt it's going to be Coulson now.
Okay, because they'll need him for
The show.
the major motion picture.
Yeah, I think people were just like, oh, he's kind of bald. I guess he could be the Vision.
I just, he's got obviously some souped up skills in Marvel, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When they threw that door at him, he kind of matrixed his way out of it.
I don't know
With
what you're
some-
talking about.
When the door flew off the van.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now, see,
And he was doing some quick dodging, like he did that, back bend during the fight at the end.
he is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right,
He's top
right.
agent.
I didn't think he was, I didn't think he was that proficient at, combat and field ops. I thought he was just kind of an all-purpose S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Speaking of that, there was one thing that kind of bugged me about the show. And the fact that, like, we've seen Coulson do some crazy shit, like break into Stark Tower when it's supposed to be on lockdown and do all kinds of getting to places where he's not supposed to be. Yet he couldn't figure out what this guy's name was and where he lived and stuff like that. And he needed the hacker to tell him
Oh, right.
because she stole his license. Doesn't that seem like a little un-S.H.I.E.L.D. like? Shouldn't S.H.I.E.L.D. have like some kind of crazy facial
Database?
recognition software?
Yes.
But they couldn't see his face. That was the whole point.
Right.
He had the hood on.
Oh,
Right.
he had the
Yeah.
hoodie up.
Yes. Oh, we can't tell him who the guy
That's
is.
S.H.I.E.L.D. with a hoodie.
That was one of those things where I just chalked it up to TV magic, the same way that even though she lives in a van down by the river, it comes with a complete wardrobe, some high-end makeup products, and fantastic hair care.
Can we talk about that character, please?
Who,
Sky?
Sky?
Yeah.
Like where she came from, what her purpose is,
Well, I
whether or
know
not
what
it
her
was
purpose
completely obvious that the part was written for Elijah Dushku and they just couldn't afford her.
That and the fact that she's kind of like an Alyssa Milano clone.
Yeah, she definitely got some crossover between Dushku and Alyssa Milano.
And I understand the purpose of her character. She has to be there because otherwise these people would be all talking about shit that they already know about and wouldn't have to explain it. So now they'll have to explain everything to her. So we see through her eyes,
Right.
essentially. But is she not way too hot to be a crazy anonymous hacker type girl? I mean, at any point this girl would be like, you know what, fuck this. I could either fuck my way to the top or be a model. And she's like, no, I
Right,
want to be in the computers. No, I don't buy it. Yeah, I mean, look, it's TV. I know, and that's kind of very nitpicky to be like, she's too fucking hot to be, you know.
Right.
But I'm like,
you're
she
not
fucking-
wrong, but
She hacked into S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm like, no, she'd be a fucking model.
Some-
Everybody's
Go ahead.
very pretty on this show. Very pretty.
So I was looking up some stuff before the show, and somebody had mentioned specifically about her that either she's the most arrogant hacker ever, or she's the dumbest hacker ever, because apparently her username and password, her username was Sky, so it was her name,
Right.
and her password was only 8 characters. So someone took the time to listen to the key taps or the keystrokes. I don't know if they showed it on the screen, but to find out that she only had an 8-character password. And they're like, she's either the most arrogant hacker ever or she's the dumbest one.
Wow, I thought I was bad for picking up on the journey into mystery thing, but that goes far beyond anything I thought.
Oh, yeah,
And
people were
maybe-
nitpicking, like picking this thing apart.
Perhaps Sky is her like
Stripper
her,
name.
You know, like Neo.
It's her stripper name.
right.
She doesn't go by her slave name.
Wow. Yikes. So the rest of the characters. So we had Sky,
Yes.
who was obviously created for the show. I mean, everybody except for Maria Hill and Coulson was created for the show, right?
Yeah, nobody was, as far as I know, unless they created some new Shield characters in the comics in the past couple of years.
That's what I
I
was
was gonna
getting
say.
at. So like Melinda May.
Never heard of her.
Yeah, I
I was
think she
going
was
to say, should
created.
I have heard of her? They made a big deal out of her, as though I should have, but I don't. I think she's purely show material.
Right, so I looked her up because they made such a big deal about her. She was only created for the show.
Oh, good.
Agent Ward,
Yeah, Ward.
right? He was clearly created for the show.
Absolutely, he's terrible.
Fitz and Simmons,
Well, but, yeah.
engineering and biotech, is that what their specialties were?
Yeah, another one who should have been a model but went to bio.
Holy shit, that chick's
Yeah.
gorgeous. I like her better than Sky.
They were all pretty okay. Ward's a little flat, and I would have liked a little more tension between him and Coulson at the end. Like it seemed like at the end he was like, "Okay, I'm part of the group. I'm in." You know.
Right, I could accept that he just realized that Coulson was that much better than him. Like, sometimes it's just easier to yield.
That could be it. Like I was kind of hoping, like in the scene at the end when Coulson's trying to talk down Michael, and
Right.
he's got the gun on him. Before anything went down, I was like, wow, it would be really cool if he just shot this guy in the fucking head, and like totally messed up the whole thing, and like it would be a point of contention throughout the whole, at least the first season, that like Ward's like, I don't want to be here, and I'm gonna do things the way I do them, but instead, and then he did shoot him, and I was like, oh my god, he did fucking shoot him, and then it turned out he shot him with the night gun.
The night gun.
Yeah.
Is that what they called it?
They did call it that.
Okay,
I didn't catch that till the second time I watched it.
Yeah, I
That they
couldn't
actually
remember. I
talked
knew
about
they were
the gun
talking
at the
about it at the beginning, but I couldn't remember what they called it. There was 2 other things for character background that I had picked up. One of them was for Ward, and the other one was for Sky. Sky is deleting Michael's information from the entire world of the interweb. Apparently, now I think she was deleting it from the DMV.
Okay.
Something. Do you remember in the scene that she's in the van and she's deleting all this crap? And
Right.
he's like, how do I know you're doing it right? And there's the beat and the music, and she's like, because I've done it before. So there's obviously some kind of backstory. Besides the fact that she's a hacker, she's trying to, I'm assuming that we're going to find out that she was trying to hide some other people away, or she was trying to protect other people.
She's got a rookie hero, like, Underground Railroad going on.
I mean, clearly she was part of Rising Tide, and she was
I thought she was right.
I thought she was Rising
Well,
Tide.
that's what I mean. She was tracking this guy, or she was tracking a centipede. But I'm wondering if she's found other masked heroes or other heroes and
I see.
put them on the
way
Underground
I took
Railroad.
it, the way I took it was that when she said I've done it before, that she did it for herself. And if you recall, Coulson does mention, he's like, we don't know anything about this girl. Do you know how odd that is? Like for us to not know anything.
Right.
That's what I got from that little bit.
I mean, it certainly could be. I just was trying to put it out there because it was clearly meant to be picked up.
Listen, if I know anything about Joss Whedon after watching all his shows, they all have secrets and histories. Every character, something will be revealed.
Right, and now we already know Melinda May, something bad happened to her on some op because she's stuck to a desk and she doesn't want to go back out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Agent Ward, when Coulson is going through his file.
References his parents, right?
Yes, she said something about like, oh, you have high marks, which is weird, especially considering your family history or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody's got something.
I kind of wish they had used some pre-established S.H.I.E.L.D. characters from the comic books.
Yeah.
Like, or at least use their names, but, you can't have everything.
Right, and you still can, just not in the pilot.
Yeah,
well, obviously, we've been set. These are the 5 people that are the mains on the show. That's what
right. I have no reason to think that we won't, contact the main helicarrier.
Oh, there was a shot. So I was saying earlier about the production value on this, and you're like, I'm not complaining about the production value. There was a shot in the pilot where I was like, who thought of this shot? It was during the fight. During when he's in Paris, when Ward is in Paris and trying to get the Chitauri mind link,
the one where he punched through a drawer and hit a guy in the face.
Well, there was no. I mean, I was like, whatever. No, but during that fight, he throws a guy to the ground and kicks his face up against the oven.
That's right.
And there's a shot from inside the oven. There's a shot of the guy's face pushed up against the glass from inside the oven. And I was like, who thought to make that shot?
Jed Whedon thought of that.
Jed Whedon?
Yeah. Joss's brother.
I just thought it was such an odd choice. I mean, it was interesting, but I was like, who the hell came up with that shot? And be like, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll put the camera inside the oven and kick his face up against it.
I had no problem with that at all.
No, I have no problem with it at all. I was just taken aback by it. I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting that shot's in there. Anyway,
Brian,
so Agent Carter.
On TV shows, you have to be different than movies, okay? So just let the oven shot go.
Okay.
Right. So let's make this significant. I'll open up with making it significantly worse. Who's Agent Carter? Why don't I understand where we're going next?
Agent Carter is a what they call a Marvel one-shot that they put on the Iron Man 3 DVD.
Oh, okay.
There have been 2 before this already, 2 one-shots. One where it's Coulson and this other S.H.I.E.L.D. agent talking about the Hulk and the Avengers initiative, and then there was another one where Agent Coulson stops what is a convenience store holdup, which is supposed to take place before Thor. None of them really significant. This one shot, on the other hand, whereas the other 2 were only about 4 to 5 minutes in length, was, 16 minutes in length?
Yeah, it was 15 or 16 minutes.
Yeah. And Agent Carter is Peggy Carter from the Captain America movie, which I don't know if you saw or remember.
I saw, do not remember.
She was Cap's love interest in Captain America.
Okay, sure.
And this roughly takes place, I guess, a year after Cap dies. And she's working a desk job, and it basically goes from there. But the whole thing was all set up. To me, it seemed like a pilot for another TV show. Brian, after seeing it, did you get the same feeling as me?
No, I did not.
You didn't? Okay.
No, I just felt that they were trying to set up S.H.I.E.L.D. That's all I felt. I felt like it was meant just to set up S.H.I.E.L.D. and to give her a place in the universe and just to tell a side story. I mean, that's all those were. Whereas like a neat little tidbit about the people who work on the fringes of the big guys.
So she's still a character?
Is she still a character?
Yes.
Well, the interesting thing about in the comics, Peggy Carter, I don't know if she had anything to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't think so. I don't think they established S.H.I.E.L.D. as anything not starting until like the 60s or so. But she was Cap's love interest. Then Cap gets frozen and then gets unfrozen and then proceeds to date her daughter or granddaughter. I can't remember which one, but it's kind of weird.
It's good stuff.
Okay.
And then that's Sharon Carter. And Sharon Carter is a pretty big deal in the Cap comic book. At least she was. I don't know if
she's a spy, isn't she?
She works for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
By
the way, I don't read Marvel comic books.
Okay.
I know all this stuff from the movies for the most part, and I picked up things here and there. Because
I'm just giving you a little bit. Like, I don't know what they've done with Sharon Carter in the past few years, but as of at least Cap's death. You guys know Captain America died in comic books for a brief time.
Yes.
I do remember hearing that.
And then replacement Cap came in.
It was
Yeah,
Bucky.
wasn't it?
Bucky
Wasn't
was
it Bucky?
Yeah.
Right.
She was a big part of that storyline, so she's a pretty big deal with Cap. And I had heard rumors that she was actually going to be in the new Cap movie, the daughter of Agent Carter, or Peggy Carter.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, I could not shake that this seemed like, at least it would have been an awesome TV show, where it's S.H.I.E.L.D. like in the 40s doing stuff.
I don't know. I didn't like it that much to want to actually see a TV show based on that.
Really? Not even seeing like a young Howard Stark working with S.H.I.E.L.D., the beginnings of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that?
No, not
All right.
really.
Fuck
I'm just saying. Hey, I'm giving you my opinion. This and the oven shot.
I mean, this is like really like a shot in the dark of something like this actually happening. Brian's probably right. It's probably just a nice little 16-minute one shot with some high production value, though. You have to admit.
I mean, yeah, I didn't see the other one shots, so I don't know what the production value was on those. But yeah, I would. They were throwing it in with Iron Man 3. I would assume that they're going to have high production values. So there was another thing that I had been wondering about, and I found it online today. The name of the sodium pentothal mixture that Coulson brings out and stabs Ward with.
Right.
Yes.
It was QBT16, I believe. And somebody, again, whether or not they're making this up, I don't know. I don't know why they would. But they're like, oh, this actually is a code name for something. It is actually the code in the military when people are taking inventory for quilted bathroom tissue 16-pack.
If I know Joss Whedon, it's probably true.
Right. I found that because, again, since they were so deliberate in the naming of the serum, I was like, oh, I wonder if that is something. And I found it. That's what somebody had said it was.
I would absolutely believe that's true because if you ever go, I'm sure there's a website that has it that breaks down all the translation of all the Chinese phrases from Firefly.
Yeah.
And the craziness that these people were actually saying. I'm sure it's true.
I wonder if there was any other Whedon Easter eggs in the show that ties it to anything else.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
be
probably. I mean, I'm sure people were excited about Michael. I don't know his actor's name. He was an angel. He was also the hooded hero in this episode of.
Oh yes, he was one of the. Yes, he was Angel's partner. No.
Yes, he was.
Or a friend.
He led some sort of street gang that killed vampires.
That's right. Man, I haven't watched Angel in so long.
Vampires.
Well, not only that, they had Shepard Book from Firefly.
Shepard, yeah, Shepard was in it too.
Right.
For one scene.
He could never know.
So then they could have had Elijah Dushku, and they would have had Dollhouse, and they would have had Angel, and then they would have had Buffy, and they would have had Firefly.
Don't worry, I'm waiting for my Summer Glau guest star 2-part episode in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm sure she'll come along. What else is she doing?
She's on Arrow.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, well, she's gonna be.
Okay, so let's finish up what we're talking about here with Agents.
Well,
Agents,
let's give Agents a rating from scale of 1 to 5, all three of us, and see where we end up. Brian?
I gave it a 3. Honestly, I thought it was like you said. I liked it, but I didn't love it, like you said. And I'm willing to tune in some more, and I probably will give it the benefit of the doubt because of the content. But that can only go so far, and it could definitely fall by the wayside.
Ian,
I'll give it
5.
A solid 4, maybe a 4.5. I didn't think I liked it that much, but I saw a mini trailer for it today. It was just really a teaser, and I got really excited for it to be tomorrow. I think the content can carry it a long way. I think the acting is fine. I mean, familiar, likable content has carried me through 2 horrible seasons of Once Upon a Time. So for something that I like way more than that, man, I'm super on board.
All right. I'm probably going to go with Brian too. I'm going to give it a 3. Based solely on the first episode. Maybe something we revisit at the end, and I may change my rating and be like, you know what, put it all together, the show's a fucking 5. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. I feel it's got some potential. It gets a 3. So what does that give it? A 3.5 overall between all three of us?
Around there, yeah.
A 3 and a 4. We'll just stick with 3 because I agree with both of your assessments. I guess I'm just more generous with my ratings.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's talk a little bit about the DC news that's coming out. We can run over all that stuff real quickly and get your thoughts on it.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only one of us have seen Arrow, the show.
I have not seen it.
I watch it with no dedication.
Well, anyway, and this is kind of old news too, that they're going to be introducing the Flash eventually somewhere mid-season, and already they're like, we're going to lead this into our own little show.
Oh, on CW?
Yes. It'll be another CW show, but with the Flash.
CW.
They've already cast the kid. I wish I had, if I had prepared a little bit more, I would have had the kid's name, but I know he's pretty young. And they're going to be having him. He's playing Barry Allen, and he's going to be a forensic scientist, a CSI kind of guy, but 18 years old, I guess.
Who gets struck by lightning with chemicals all over him.
Well, we don't know what the origin is for this Flash yet till it comes out.
Will it be better than the old Flash, which was glorious?
I was going to say, I don't care what happens as long as Mark Hamill shows back up as the trickster. I'll be A-okay.
Yeah, I think Mark Hamill's going to be busy making millions of dollars in episode 7. But the reason that I wanted to bring that up real quick was because obviously, the news about the Superman Batman movie coming out, I assumed.
Which piece of news?
Obviously, this is the first building of a bigger world for DC as well, to lead into a Justice League movie a la Avengers movie.
Yep.
I assumed that they had no choice but to do that, to keep up.
Yeah, but they keep stumbling, unfortunately.
Oh, terribly.
Yeah. This is a step in the right direction. The Superman Batman thing. It's a slower start, which is understandable. Look how it took Marvel 4 years to get to Avengers. And DC's and Warner Brothers' original idea was to just shoot out a Justice League movie in 2015, which they scaled down to the Batman Superman thing.
But it took them 4 years to get Avengers, but it was built off Iron Man, which was a fantastic movie.
We can save that for another podcast, Man of Steel, because I could go on for hours. Let's wait for the DVD to come out.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Oh my God, I heard such terrible things about it. I couldn't bring myself to go see it.
There's no way.
You have to see it.
Who are you talking to? I haven't seen it, and I have heard nothing but the most glowing 5-star, 10 out of 10 reviews for that movie.
Are you
kidding? Who told you it was terrible? But Man of Steel, the newest one?
I've heard nothing but terrible, terrible things about it.
Gentlemen, I've seen the movie. Would you like me to weigh in on it since the both of you have not seen it?
I'd rather
when's it come out?
And I just argue based on nothing.
When does it come out on DVD?
Who's right in this conversation and who's wrong?
I'm assuming, since you said we should save that discussion for a whole other podcast, that you agree that it's terrible.
Man of Steel is one of the worst movies I've seen.
I win.
It is without a doubt in my top 5.
I've heard
worse than the Kevin Spacey remake?
Oh boy.
Yes.
No.
I don't know. That one had that airplane scene, right? Didn't the Kevin Spacey one have the scene when he's trying to save the airplane?
Poor Brandon Routh that you guys are referring to it as the Kevin Spacey Superman.
No, I know. I can never remember.
But in comparison to those two, I would say that Superman Returns, the Kevin Spacey one, is just a boring, bad movie, right? Man of Steel is a total shitfest.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see it now.
On so many levels.
I've heard so many bad things about it.
That's fantastic. You guys are truly, and I truly mean this, the first negative reviews I've heard of this movie. And you guys are very reliable sources.
And I haven't even seen it.
Right.
Well, like on Rotten Tomatoes, it only got like a 56. It's a very polarizing movie.
I was going to say 56 in middle of the road. That's still
you either love
fresh,
it
isn't
or
it?
hate
Or
it.
60 fresh.
Most of the critics that I respect hated the fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I walked out opening night and I was like, that was horrible. But listen, it is what it is. That is their Iron Man.
Man.
That movie was their Iron Man, but Ben Affleck is going to be their Tony Stark.
Okay.
Follow my
Sure.
logic.
Sure, I gotcha.
But back to Arrow and the Flash. Do you think that they're going to be able to tie in these characters? Are they going to bump them up from TV to movies when this Justice League movie comes out? Or are they going to keep this TV series out of the realm of the movies, much a la like Smallville when Superman Returns came out?
Well, if they're going to do Justice League, I mean, they can't just do Justice League with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Right. Well, they've pretty much established that it's going to be the big five. It's going to be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, right. So, unfortunately, Green Lantern was another turd. And...
Yes, but lovely. That Green Lantern movie is not in their continuity of their new universe.
Okay, so
they're
not
Mark Strong as Sinestro.
No, I liked him. I actually liked him as Sinestro until the end of the movie. But Ryan Reynolds won't be returning then as Green Lantern, I guess.
No, but if you want, please put a pin in that one too.
I'm writing them all down.
We're going to do a Christmas 2-hour special where I lament on how bad Green Lantern was.
I'm right up there with you, my friend. So, okay, so then the question would be, do they bring the Flash up? My guess is yes. I'm going to say that they're going to bring the Flash, specifically because all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're going to introduce the Flash on Arrow, and then we're going to make a whole show for him.
Right. So is this a genius move on their part to actually catch up to Avengers? Because they're like, look, we ain't got time to do a fucking Wonder Woman movie. They're like, we're not doing another Batman movie. Just shove him into the fucking Superman movie. Everybody knows his goddamn origin already. Right? And then if you're like, and we're already running this show with the Flash, so bring that motherfucker up. All right? And we kind of had a Green Lantern. Most people maybe might know it.
Again, they'll just put a 5-minute info dump in the front of Justice League, and everybody will know who the Green Lantern is again.
It's a much smarter move, in my opinion, than just going straight Justice League movie. Because even when they had talked about the Justice League movie, they're like, well, is this... and I'm drawing a blank on the guy who played Superman in Man of Steel.
I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, but there was a lot of like, is he going to be the Superman? What are they going to do? Is it going to be Christian Bale too? So, I think it might be a genius move on their part. And on top of that, they're doing the Commissioner Gordon TV show, right? Which could get all their bat shit out of the way.
Bat shit.
Yeah. Wow, thank you, Brian. I didn't even realize how clever that was when I said it. Then get all that out of the way. And on top of all that, the rumor is that they just put out a casting call for the Superman Batman movie for a woman role to be between like 20 and 30 and extremely fit. What do you think that's going to be?
Well, I would think it's Wonder Woman. That would be my guess.
Okay. I didn't know what other guesses could be plausible, but sure. So then they're going to use that to segue into a Wonder Woman movie?
Either that or they'll just maybe... I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. That's a lot to jam into one movie.
Right.
They're not giving Wonder Woman her own movie.
They should.
That's not happening.
I was going to say they're going to give Ant-Man and Wasp their own movie.
Yeah.
Just Ant-Man.
After 18
just
movies
Ant-Man
came in front of them. They've already laid down the groundwork, and they're like, we can only make so many fucking movies for these other guys. We got to start making movies for other people.
I would like to think they're not going to go Wonder Woman movie because it doesn't sound profitable to me, but that's because I'm sexist. So
they're not.
Listen,
they're not.
One of them. Whoever makes the leap first to the first female character is, assuming it's done right, will have struck a blow. And DC really needs to get one up on Marvel because Marvel has so many up on them right now in that movie universe. So to make a good Wonder Woman movie, and I would go see a fucking Wonder Woman. We have no problem with that.
But that's the thing is DC's track record so far does not show that they're going to make a good Wonder Woman movie. I doubt they're even going to make a good Superman Batman movie.
No. We'll see.
I mean,
go watch Man of Steel.
Again, here I'll go back to it, and I know it's not the same universe because the whole point of them rebooting and bringing Ben Affleck in, but Dark Knight Rises, another terrible movie.
I have to agree with you.
Yeah. So they're not.
All right.
They're not.
I'm convinced I'm going to love Man of Steel now.
You liked Dark Knight Rises? You thought that was a good movie?
Solid gold from start to finish.
Solid gold?
I'm not
it
talking
wasn't
about
as
Dark
good
Knight,
as the first or the second, but it was still very good.
Hey, listen, on our first episode, I want to take a vote right now, Brian. Kick Ian off or not?
No, it's good because he's clearly polarized against us.
I was going to say, well, We clearly need a voice of dissension, and apparently it's going to be me.
Wow. But here's the thing, too, is that they set the bar so high, obviously, with The Dark Knight, that it really had nowhere to go but down.
Well,
Right.
actually, Brian, if you want to know, worst movie between Dark Knight Rises and Man of Steel? Man of Steel by leaps and bounds.
I mean, that's
He's
what
leaping over tall buildings.
I mean, that's again what I heard. At least there was a semblance of a decent movie in Dark Knight Rises. It just did not happen. But I just heard Superman was just shit. Complete shit.
Man, you guys, you're so, I don't know. I'll have to find out when we have more time in the future the basis for these harsh reviews.
Well, so far we have about 8 episodes that we can do now.
Yeah,
Right?
we have a whole one.
Dark Knight Rises, Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern.
Again,
etc.
maybe you guys are just making points
Superman.
about elements of the movie that you didn't enjoy.
Okay, there are multiple things about Dark Knight Rises that were not good.
Yeah, and when I tell you that Man of Steel was one of the worst, and I'm not saying this as a fanboy I'm not even that big of a Superman fan. It was one of the worst movies I've ever fucking seen. Ever.
I can't say anything because I haven't seen that. I'm confident in my opinions of Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, well, I'm telling you right
I can't really
now,
speak of Man of Steel.
Superman is a emo hobo in Man of Steel.
An emo.
Emo hobo, and I have to credit Ralph Garman with that one where I got it from him, but he summed it up perfectly.
Fantastic.
All right, well, that wraps it up for this week. Next week we'll have new topics for you guys. We're probably going to get off superhero movies and try to do something different, maybe new television. How's
Yeah.
that strike you, boys?
That sounds good. And if you folks want to reach us or ask us a question, you can reach us on the Twitter at our handle is @ProdPod, as in Prodigal Sons podcast. It's @ProdPod. You can reach us there.
That's my favorite sexual position, by the way.
The ProdPod.
The Prod.
Yeah. We will have a Facebook group up soon, and you hopefully will be listening to this courtesy of an RSS feed from our blog or our website. So you can reach us there too, and we'll have an email up. We have Prodigal Sons Podcast at Gmail if you want to email us a question or tell us how terrible you thought the show was.
Or if you want to know more about the Prod Pod.
Exactly.
Or if you would like to know why Jared has the high score on all of the King brand Flash games on Facebook, you could write him about that, because that's what I want to know.
Jared has a lot of free time at work.
Cheating.
He sure does. It's not just Candy Crush, it's every game they make, and he's always on the top.
That's not true. Brian has beaten me on quite a few of those.
All right, folks, we'll have a good week.
Cut that out, Brian. Fuck you, Ian, for bringing that up.
Take care.
Have a good one.